Welcome back. On today's video, I would like to talk about Bitcoin and how it will be performing, but as well, I would like to talk about many other altcoins, and especially if you have any requests, don't forget to ask those as well. So let's take a look immediately at the Bitcoin chart, and I will be heading towards this part. And what we're seeing over here is the Bitcoin compared to the US dollar on the daily time frame, and what I'm actually seeing right away is that we are currently still at these levels, and I will switch over towards the 4 hourly time frame, where unfortunately, as I can't take it, oh no, we are on the Ethereum chart. That's why I'm having some trouble. Very sorry for that. And what I'm seeing over here is the Bitcoin compared to the US dollar chart on the 4 hourly time frame, and what we are seeing right away is that Bitcoin right now is at a phase of utmost importance. And why I think so, that is what I will be explaining to you just in the upcoming minutes. So what we are looking at right over here is something very important and very significant for Bitcoin, is because especially if we take a look at this pattern, what we could be seeing is a ascending triangle, not just a ascending triangle, but as well on the hourly time frame. But you might have noticed that already yourself, but I will be heading towards that later, is that we are seeing here an ascending triangle being created. If you take a look at this just this way, just 1 second please. So if I select the ascending triangle from there to there, what we are seeing is that we have a small ascending triangle being created on the Bitcoin chart right underneath this downward sloping resistance line. And why I personally think this is great news, especially as well on the 4 hourly time frame, is because ascending triangles tend to break out towards the upside and could be of utmost significance, especially because we already saw Bitcoin on the 1 hourly time frame looking very strong and very bullish, because we are seeing Bitcoin trade not just right over here against this downward sloping resistance, but as well it broke out of this W pattern over here, and it's currently still very strong looking, if you ask me, because I personally think we have the neckline of this pattern approximately at this point, at this segment, and as you can see immediately is something very wonderful, is that we found several touch points on the horizontal level of support of this neckline. Once we broke above it, we found several times support, well, right underneath we went up right underneath, but we went back up straight away and found once again we broke through it, and but we are still above this neckline of this W structure that we saw over here. And personally, I think this is very good news, because for the people who haven't seen my previous videos as well on Bitcoin and haven't joined the live stream during the previous days, what we are seeing is that once Bitcoin has a period, a downtrend being created, and we see a W structure at a point like we are currently at, that could be possible that we are seeing a bottom being created on Bitcoin. And if we turn on the, for example, relative strength index, what we are seeing over here is as well that there is a lot of strength after this W structure being created for Bitcoin, even after a huge period of a downward period on the Bitcoin chart. So I think this is of utmost importance what we are seeing over here, and if we are able to trade above this neckline for even a longer period of time, because as you see on the chart, I draw a not just orange but a white line as well today. And why I'm drawing this line is because I think this line is of utmost importance. If you look further back at the data, what you're seeing over here is that we found support right on top of it over here. And as well, if we look even further back, you will see one second please, that we have many touch points as well, one over here, that are very significant, because how more touch points you have on this level of support and resistance, how more significant it will be. And I personally think this is a significant level of support and resistance for Bitcoin for the current moment. And if it trades above this level and finds support on top of it, I'm personally very happy to start looking towards the future and thinking about the possibilities that Bitcoin will bring with this recovery after trading above the $42,000 and $898. So I think that's very important. And Angera, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon to you as well. I'm very happy you are joining this live stream. If you have any questions, don't forget to ask those down below in the comment section. So don't be afraid to ask anything. And well, let's take a look at the 4-hourly time frame, because as I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of the lower time frames, because right over there the patterns are not as significant as they are on the 4-hourly time frame. And that's as well why, if we look even further back, we will see that this line is of utmost importance due to this several breakout here. Once we found support on top of it, and once we found a second time support on top of this line. And I'm personally as well very I think that where we are currently trading above, or well, it depends on where we are, but right now the candle of this 4-hourly candle just opened up several minutes ago, and what we are seeing is that we are trading just above this level right now of current support at $41,061. And I think that's just pretty amazing, because as we saw on the 1-hourly time frame, we are already seeing a trend reversal being created due to the double juice structure. And if we are seeing as well what I showed you, the breakout of this, very sorry for that, the breakout of these ascending triangle, if we take a look at it this way, but I will be placing once again the downtrend for us to just take a look at where we are currently at, and if we will be able to go further above it, I will be placing it just a little bit more like this, so we have a more exact measurement. And what we are seeing over here, if I remove the horizontal neckline that is providing support and resistance right now, and I draw a 2-second trend lines over here, what we are seeing is that we could be looking at, but I will be placing this a little bit higher, because for sure it is way better like this. And if we place a second one over here on the 4-hourly time frame, you are seeing that we already had several touch points of the wicks of the candles on the upper part, even some candles breaking slightly above this horizontal level of resistance of this ascending triangle on the 4-hourly time frame. And I personally think that it is looking very steady for Bitcoin at this moment to bounce above this level of downwards sloping resistance. And if Bitcoin breaks above this level, just to make sure, the downward sloping resistance level is this downtrend that I draw over here, the blue line diagonally towards the downside. And if Bitcoin breaks above this line and finds support on top of it, I'm personally thinking that it will be seeing a huge trend reversal being created, especially because we already had the indicators on the 1-hourly time frame that are telling us that we are seeing Bitcoin having, and yes, of course, buying and holding is just something incredible to look at, but I think it's a perfect buying opportunity, and I will come back to that later, because I will be showing you as well on the daily time frame the NVF, and that is just something really amazing. I will be explaining a little bit further later as well. Due to this article, I was very amazed by it, and that's why I had even more information why I personally think that we will be moving towards the upside instead of towards the downside. So if this pattern breaks out towards the upside, we will be possibly seeing a pump towards the upside being created of approximately, let's take a look at how much this pump would be percentage wise for the people who are interested in me. Maybe once this pattern breaks out and we find support on top of this horizontal level of support, maybe placing a long position. But I would be very careful with leverage trading for the moment, because I personally think that you have to be careful right now, because it could be going either way. Even right now, when we are having this strong indicators that we are entering a trend reversal, I'm personally still not playing with too high leverages at this particular moment, because it could still be going either way. So that's something you really have to keep in mind. But if this ascending triangle on the 4-hourly time frame breaks out towards the upside, we will be seeing a 10% move towards the upside being created. And I personally think that's just amazing news, because then we will be once again above the, not just the white level of resistance where we are currently trading underneath, as you can see over here, but we are also going even further up and maybe finding support on top of the 46,800 and $889. And I personally think that would be even more amazing for Bitcoin, because then we would be for sure seeing a trend reversal being created and a momentum towards the upside would be inevitable. But right now, because I'm still very careful with Bitcoin, I am personally waiting for Bitcoin to break above the downward sloping resistance line that we are seeing over here. That's the blue line that I've drawn for you, where we are trading currently underneath. And if Bitcoin breaks above this downward sloping resistance line and finds support on top of it, that's when I will be seeing a confirmation of Bitcoin that a trend reversal is being created. And even when it breaks above the $42,898, that's when I personally will be once again very happy to enter a long position, because after that point I personally think that we will be seeing a huge momentum towards the upside being created, especially because then after this period that we went, after this long week that we saw Bitcoin drop and drop even further down, this would be the turning point for Bitcoin. That's of course my personal opinion, but why I also think so is because I will be going to the daily time frame to take a look at it, and right there we are as well underneath this downward trend line. But if I enable the NVT, and I think this is very important and very significant, because if we take a look at it, what this actually shows us is that once it is down below here and we see a white indicator like this on the NVT being created, this means that right now the price of Bitcoin compared to its market cap is actually being oversold. So it is just hugely oversold, and right now our people are just selling their Bitcoin very fast. And I think this is just not a great sign, because once you see this on the NVT, it is actually a sign that you have to buy Bitcoin instead of selling your Bitcoin. Because as you saw over here, this was a moment when Bitcoin was overbought, and you could see that afterward. We had a downward momentum, and after that period we saw this parabolically rise towards the upside, of course, towards new all-time highs. But what we are seeing currently at the NVT is something actually completely different. We are looking at the opposite, and what we are seeing is that the NVT is showing us right now that we are clearly at the overbought area on Bitcoin. And what tends to happen when it's overbought, when it's oversold, we see a move towards the upside being created. And that's actually what I personally think that will be happening in the upcoming weeks. That right now it is the perfect buying opportunity for Bitcoin, especially because on the NVT we are seeing this huge oversold area where you have to take advantage of by buying this dip right now before we are heading even further up. So let's take a look at the comments. And Devil Deal and so wait, maybe just sideways couple of yes, of course. I personally think that we will be going trading sideways once we break above the trend line where we are currently trading underneath. That's my personal opinion as well. We will be trading sideways before seeing a parabolic rise up towards new all-time highs being created on Bitcoin. But I am just more comfortable if Bitcoin will be trading sideways above this wide level of support and resistance, because if you look at the past, it has served as very strong level of support after this huge downward momentum when we saw a drop on Bitcoin of approximately 25%. And that is something I personally like, when a huge level of support is being created, is being used once again further in the future and serving as support once again, instead of what we are currently seeing right now, that it is right now serving as very, very hard to pass through resistance. So that's why I personally think that we have to find support on top of this, because if we do, we will be trading in between these levels at approximately 42,000 and 46,000 US dollars, and that is just where I currently want to be looking at before even going further, because after that it is very possible that after a period of consolidation we would see a momentum towards the upside being created. And this is also why I would like to place a on the daily time on the 4-hourly time frame a Fibonacci to just let you take a look at where we could be possibly heading towards. And I will be placing this on the beginning of this year at approximately at the end of 2020, but at the beginning of this bull run towards the upside that was being created from, actually the beginning of December, but I decided to place it from the 24th of December until the all-time high. But the all-time high was not selected properly. So if we take a look at the Fibonacci levels, why I personally think that it is very good for us to be as well above the wide level of support and resistance is because right over there is also the 0.5 Fibonacci level of retracement. And I personally think this is a major place where you want to be looking at right now, and especially where you want to see Bitcoin trading above, because once Bitcoin trades above the 0.5 Fibonacci level, I personally think that it will be just a matter of time before we see Bitcoin once again going up towards new all-time highs. And let's take a look at what we are seeing right over here on the comment sections. And Devil Deal and Angera IC, then huge longish pump. Too much sell, well, maybe just sideways couple of days. Yes, as you said before, sideways is actually what I personally think that will be happening as well. But I am personally waiting for a confirmation of Bitcoin that we will be trading sideways, but creating a higher low than where we are currently at. So that's for right now what we are looking at, but I will be enabling as well not just the EMA ribbon, but as well the moving averages. And what you're seeing is that we are seeing lots of resistance right away on Bitcoin, but this will be resistance that we have to keep an eye on, especially because if we don't have enough strength to get above the EMA ribbon and see a momentum switch on the EMA ribbon, I think the EMA ribbon will be serving as major upper resistance. As you could see over here, there are not one single point where we could break above the EMA ribbon's line. And if right now, once we are entering the EMA ribbon actually for the first time, potentially getting inside of the EMA ribbon, it could be telling us that we will see a momentum switch being created once the EMA ribbon completely switches over to the longs. The shorts would be taken over by the longs, and after that we will see Bitcoin, of course, finding support on top of the EMA ribbon. And once Bitcoin finds support on top of the EMA ribbon, for sure we will be seeing upward momentum being created. But that's especially why we have to be trading sideways right now, and for sure going above, breaking through this downward sloping level of resistance, because if we do so, I think it will be very probable that Bitcoin will have enough strength to get through the EMA ribbon and find support on top of it instead of this overhead resistance what we are seeing over here. So that's for my personal opinion, of course. And if you would like me to keep looking at Bitcoin, that won't be a problem at all, but I will be showing you even more indicators why I personally think that we will be trading sideways for sure, but that we have enough, if we have enough strength, that we will have as well a huge pump towards the upside, because the indicators after that period of time that we traded sideways, we will not just see that a momentum switch is created, but we will also see that all the indicators will be once again on Bitcoin's side. And once the indicators are below Bitcoin, actually acting as support instead of what we are looking right now, acting as resistance, then we will see a huge pump of Bitcoin being created. And you could see that on the 4-hourly time frame. If we take a look at the moving averages, that's the green, yellow, and red moving average what you're seeing over here. The green one is the 50, the yellow one is the 100-day moving average, and the upper red one is the 200-day moving average. Once we get underneath the moving averages and we find support on top of these, that's when I'm especially very pumped, because once this happens, if we break above this levels of resistance, we will see a huge move towards the upside being created. And that's in particular why I'm looking as well at the daily time frame, because what we are seeing over there is not that we are right now trading over here, as you can see, just underneath the 200-day moving average, finding resistance underneath it, but we are also having major resistance of this downward sloping resistance line, but as well resistance on this previous level of support. That's the white horizontal line that you're seeing. But if we get above these three indicators, the downward sloping resistance, the horizontal resistance line, and the 200-day moving average, that will be creating a lot of support for Bitcoin. And once Bitcoin is above the 200-day moving average, it's just a matter of time before it gets above the 150-day moving average. And once Bitcoin does so, as we could see in the past as well, we see a huge potential move towards the upside being created. You could see it over here. Once Bitcoin broke above the moving averages and found support on top of it, we saw Bitcoin moving further up like we saw during this year. And actually, if you trace it even further back, you will see that this happened as well on the 2017 bull run and as well into 2013 bull run, that you would like to see Bitcoin once again finding support on top of these moving averages before even heading further up. So I will be also removing the Fibonacci levels, but before I will be doing so, as I told you before, what I'm personally looking for is for a trend reversal, and after that trend reversal, a period of consolidation. But I would be personally very happy if it happened above the white line, or even above the 0.5 Fibonacci level at $43,000, 864. So that's just my current opinion on Bitcoin right now, and I would like to take a look at a few articles before heading even further to different coins. And I will take a look at the comment section, and what we're seeing right here is that Mark Battisti, good show bro, keep it going. I will. If you're liking this show so far, don't forget to leave a like down below in the description, and if you would even like to subscribe to the channel to stay up to date about more crypto news, that would be really amazing as well, because you will be supporting the channel by doing so. And yes, I will be talking about this article on crypto news, because we are seeing moving to green Bitcoin may be moving to a 2-tier Bitcoin. And yes, I'm not a huge fan of 2-tier Bitcoin, because then huge part of the Bitcoin philosophy will be actually going away, especially because of the two-tier. It will be way easier that the Bitcoin transactions will be way easier, and it will take less energy to perform these transactions. But I'm actually not really confident about the two-tier Bitcoin. But as well, if I'm when I'm reading this article, I can see the benefits of it, because once Bitcoin enables a two-tier Bitcoin, it would be very probable that it will be better for the environment because it will use less energy. And if it does so, if Bitcoin will, and yes, don't think I am someone that really think that Bitcoin uses a lot of energy, and I don't think that what Elon Musk did is actually something that can be talked right. But what I'm saying is that if we are looking into the future, and I think this is also very important for Bitcoin to move with in the future, because lots of companies like Tesla, you can see they want to be green, and they want to be environmental friendly. And of course, if we have to take a look at the future, there will be more and more companies that would like to be environmental friendly for the consumers. And that, of course, is something very important. And if Bitcoin managed to improve itself by using less energy and actually saying to the companies, look at us, we made it possible to use even less energy than what you were talking about, and we are actually not only using less energy, but we are also looking at, for example, sustainable energy made of let's take a look where it is over here. Yes, that we could be seeing a CO2 emission friendly Bitcoin. That would be actually major for the future, especially because the consumers will not be bothered that Bitcoin is using that much energy, because it will be sustainable and environmental friendly. And that is what I would like to talk about this article just for a while. And it's because I read it, but I can't find it. So let's give me a second before I... Yes. So this comes at a time when institutional interest in Bitcoin rises, along with the pressure for the crypto they're interested in to be green, in accordance with many competent environmental policies. So additionally, Barrett is investing in solar installation, expecting to begin reaping returns on that environmental investment in a few years. Pushing into renewable is logical way to go for them, he said. It is natural and logical for me to put a solar plant up because that would give me lowest cost power. So yeah, for sure, companies, as they said over here, they want to see, let's take a look. Well, they want to pursue their goals of environmental and eco-friendly and CO2 friendly and less emission, of course. And that's why I think that if Bitcoin is able to change their CO2 or change their overall bad look or the bad image they have due to the amount of consumption they have on energy, and especially energy powered by coal, I think that it would be very huge, because if Bitcoin managed to become a renewable asset and even a sustainable asset, it will be much more interesting for companies that will be aiming into the future, wanting for the consumers to think that they are renewable as well, and using a renewable source of income like Bitcoin. And that's why I think that if Bitcoin changes towards two-tier identification, it could benefit from it as well in the future. Of course, I'm not saying that what Elon Musk did and what Elon Musk is saying about Bitcoin is right, but what I'm saying is that if Bitcoin changes to a more sustainable source of energy, it will benefit from it as well. But right now, I think it is nonsense that he decided to dump Bitcoin. If you actually look at the overall banking industry, they're using way more energy than Bitcoin ever used. So that's just a point I wanted to make. And if you are afraid of the two-tier Bitcoin, don't be, because I think Bitcoin will actually benefit from it. So that's what I wanted to talk about. If you would like to read the entire article, don't forget to go to the website on Crypto News. You will find it immediately. It's on top of the website. So let's take a look. Does any one of you have any type of requests for me right now and would like me to look at a particular coin or something similar to it? If you do, don't forget to write it down below on the comment section and I will look it up for you. So, Devil Deal, what altcoin will be our top pick when we pump again? I can't decide between ADA, Matic, and XRP. Or VET. Yeah, well, that's quite a difficult answer actually, because I'm personally still looking at those altcoins in particular as well. So I must say it's a good pick you are having right now, because I'm personally looking at actually exactly the same altcoins at the moment, and I'm more leaning onto the choices for Matic or XRP, especially because I think XRP, as you could see, we were having a breakout almost a few days ago before the huge Bitcoin dump happened, and we saw that XRP broke as well. It entirely broke through the downside, and the breakout that we were seeing was actually reversed immediately. But I still think that XRP has lots of potential, especially for the future. And once we pump again, I'm for sure saying you this right now, XRP will be blowing off towards new all-time highs in the matter of weeks, if it is not in the matter of days. And yeah, this was the breakout that I was talking about. We saw this ascending triangle being created. XRP broke through this horizontal level of resistance. It broke above this horizontal level of resistance, and we were seeing a huge move towards the upside being created on the compared to Bitcoin chart. But unfortunately, once it broke out of this symmetrical triangle on the USD dollar chart, it would not actually go all the way up as I personally thought so, because once we saw it retesting this downward sloping level of support, it broke actually down below it, and it broke even below this upward sloping support line of the symmetrical triangle, where we had several touch points in the past. So that was just something very unfortunate to happen. But just for the future, I will take a look at XRP a little bit more closely, and especially right now on the US dollar chart, to take a look if it's possible for XRP to go even further. But I'm expecting for XRP after, if we will see a pump on Bitcoin. And I personally think that my goal on Bitcoin will be after it recovers at approximately 90,000 US dollar. We will be seeing XRP for sure going towards the $3 or $4 level. Absolutely, that will be happening. And what we are seeing currently at the XRP right now is, if we take a look a little bit more closely, we are seeing a small descending triangle being created. You could take a look at it like this way, but I won't take a look at it that way, because I personally think that this downward momentum was for sure only created due to the Bitcoin crash. And I will be placing these two lines here already, because if we are able to stay inside of this broadening wedge, and for sure it is not yet a broadening wedge, but if we stay inside of this broadening wedge just for a while, creating each time higher lows, I personally think that we will be seeing XRP once again breaking up towards high levels. And especially once XRP trades in between these two channels, makes this pattern even more significant if it doesn't break below this upward sloping level of support. Yeah, for sure we will be seeing XRP heading towards very high levels if it stays in between this broadening wedge. And just for now, there are not enough touch points, so we can take a look at the 1 hourly chart or 2 hourly chart. I prefer the 2 hourly chart for the moment, because if we take a look at the 2 hourly chart, we might be able to spot a bullish or bearish divergence just right now if we enable the RSI. And what we are seeing over here is a higher low being created, and we are also seeing a lower high being created. And I think this is just of utmost importance, because we see this lower high over here, and we see as well a lower high on the RSI, but the RSI is not looking very strong at this particular moment for XRP, because we are trading at the lowest part inside of the purple box. And once we are inside of the purple box, it could be going either way, going up or either going down. And right now, XRP is finding support on top of this upward sloping support line. So I personally think that would be great, especially because it's also finding support on top of this orange box that I draw, where we saw as well XRP finding support inside of. And I personally think this orange box is very significant, as you could see before as well. And if we stay above the orange box and even above this upward sloping support line, I think personally we will be heading even further up. This is not exactly how it should be, because I drawn this on the 4 hourly time frame, and right here, as you can see, it is drawn as it should be, but on the 2 hourly time frame it just changes a little. And if we take a look at the Bitcoin chart, yes, right now we currently had a huge drop on XRP, but where I'm particularly very happy about is that we saw this huge drop of XRP, yes, for sure, and we saw this breakout of this ascending triangle. But what I think is even more important is that XRP did not break below this upward sloping support line, and what we are seeing currently is that it's once again retesting this upward sloping support line over here. And when XRP is able to find support on top of it, right now it's struggling for sure, but if XRP is able to find support on top of it, I think that would be an amazing sign of XRP still holding strong to this uptrend, and especially XRP telling us that it is not done yet with climbing up this ladder, because it will be climbing up this ladder for sure many weeks later, and then we will be seeing exponential growth once we see Bitcoin recover from this downwards period. But what we're seeing on the daily candles, and as well I will be enabling the 20, 50, 100 and 200 day moving average, and this is something that in particular I really adore to look at, because the moving averages always give a lot of support and resistance, and once we find support on top of those, I personally think that we will see a move towards the upside being created. And if we go down below the moving averages and we get above the moving averages, then after that we will see a period of upward trend. But right now we are still on top of this upward sloping support line, and if we break out towards the downside, I personally think that it is very probable that we will be finding support on top of the 50-day moving average, on top of the 100-day of or 200-day moving average for sure, because these actually work as major levels of support and resistance, and I personally think that that's for sure something that will be happening. But let's take a look at XRP, and let's just take a look at what it could be doing during the upcoming days compared to Bitcoin. And I will be doing so by placing this small Fibonacci retracement over here from swing high towards swing low, but I will be adjusting my swing high. And what we're seeing over here is that if XRP tends to break out towards the upside, we will be heading once again towards the 1.618 level, where we were rejected due to the Bitcoin crash as well, because I'm for sure 100%, I for sure think 100% that if the Bitcoin crash would not happen, that we would have seen a for sure 40% move towards the upside on XRP, and it is just a pity that we were stopped over here, especially because XRP had a lot of potential to go even further above and finding support on top of the 1.618 level. But right now, if we find support on top of this upward sloping support line, and as well find support on top of this 0.786 level of Fibonacci, I personally think that it will be still looking very healthy. We will still create higher lows on the XRP chart, and I personally, I adore when we are seeing these type of uptrends, because if you hold on to these uptrends long enough, they will break out towards the upsides for sure. Especially if we take a look at this, it is very probable that we will be seeing a maybe second ascending triangle being created even further if we retest this Fibonacci level at 1.618 at approximately, well, it's Bitcoin, so that's a little bit more difficult to tell you the exact price over here. But if we retest this Fibonacci level for the second time, we bounce back, we find support on top of this upward sloping support line, we will be for sure forming once again a ascending triangle. And once we break out of this ascending triangle, a huge move will be inevitable once again. But that's all if XRP has enough strength to stay above this upward sloping support line for the current moment. And I will be placing it just a little bit higher because I moved it just a second ago when I made it even longer. So, but if XRP breaks out towards the downside, for sure we will be seeing XRP break out quite far below. I will be enabling the moving averages once again, and what we are seeing is that the moving averages are over here. And I personally think that if we break through this upward sloping level of support and we create a trend reversal, it is very probable that we will be heading even further down, and we will find support, my personal opinion is, on top of the 50-day moving average at the 0.5 Fibonacci level. Or if we go even further down, we will be finding support on top of the 0.382. And that would be as well a very important level to look at, because if we break out of this uptrend on the XRP compared to Bitcoin chart, I will be very careful with XRP just for a moment before we will see a trend reversal being created. And on the US dollar chart, if we look at the daily time frame, what we're seeing over there is actually something really interesting happening. We broke underneath this upward level of support, but we are finding support on top of the 100-day moving average. And as well, if you look at the wick of the candle, we found support right on top of that as well. So I personally think this is just great news, because these moving averages are still serving as major support and resistance. And if we take a look at the MACD, just to show us what a possible momentum switch could look, how it could look like, we are seeing that on the daily time frame, a crossover will be inevitable in the upcoming period of time. And what we are seeing is that we already had two crossovers, one over here, a second one over here, and they both created downward momentum on the MACD. And that's why I personally think that when this crossover happens, we will see upward momentum possibly being created. And if we take a look at this over here, if we draw a trend line, we could see possible upward momentum being created after this, and that could give XRP enough strength to stay above the orange box where it's currently trading at, and that would be just amazing news for sure. So that's just what I think about XRP. I could take a look at Matic just in a moment, but I am telling you, can you please look at link? Welcome all, thank you very much for watching this live stream. I really appreciate all of you for watching me right now. Shout out to Snicker030. He is watching this live stream and he thinks it is one of the best crypto analysis, so I'm very overwhelmed and thank you very much. So the end mega is done. Will anyone talk about the elephant in the room that when all the prices dipped and the exchanges crashed and no one was able to buy or sell? Well, the elephant in the room. I heard the problem, but I must say that I, in particular, must have been lucky because when the prices were dropping, I was able to enter my account, so I wasn't having that problem. I for sure understand that it's just terrible that lots of people could not enter their portfolios, but I personally did not have that problem. So that's just my personal experience, but your personal experience could be much worse. And I can imagine I would be also freaked out if I couldn't enter my portfolio or couldn't enter to any type of exchanges at a certain moment when the prices are plunging. So we had a request for Medic and also a request for Link, and I will be looking at Matic just shortly now, but let's take a look where it is. If we look at Matic right now, what we are seeing over here is something I am a huge fan, and it was a question of some of the viewers. So where you could be better invested if we are seeing a major comeback on Bitcoin, and if you would like to have a absolute wonderful pump on an altcoin, I personally think that this altcoin, Polygon Matic, is just amazing, and it will give you so much returns if you hold on to this, especially because we will be seeing Matic go even further up during the upcoming weeks for sure, especially because it's holding so strong compared to Bitcoin. And that's why I wanted to show you the Matic compared to Bitcoin chart. And if you take a look at this, we are right now currently, yes, we are seeing a descending triangle being created. Yes, a descending triangle is a triangle that most of the time tends to break out towards the downside, but of course it is possible, we have seen it in the past as well, that a descending triangle could break out towards the upside as well. And if it does so, it will be breaking out towards a major level above this previous all-time high on Polygon. I personally think that would be amazing news. But let's just measure this descending triangle. Let's take a look at where it will be heading towards if it breaks towards the downside. And after that, I will be measuring as well the possible pump towards the upside if this descending triangle breaks above, it breaks towards the upside instead of towards the downside. And what we are seeing is that the possible move towards the downside would be a possible breakout towards the downside of approximately 51% if this descending triangle plays out. But I personally think this won't be happening, especially because what we are seeing over here is that we already have this trend line on Polygon. And yes, I think that I will have to draw this trend line once again, like something like this from here on, because what we're seeing here is that this is a trend line with just 2 touch points in the past. And as I said before during my videos and as well during my live streams, if you have more touch points on a ascending support or ascending resistance line or a descending support line, how more touch points you have, how more significant it will be. And for the current moment, if we have this 51% drop, I think these indicators are telling us that Polygon will be finding support. Maybe it won't be finding support on top of the 50-day moving average, but I personally think that it will be finding support on top of the 100-day moving averages. And if it doesn't find support on top of that, we still have this shield over here, this upward sloping level of support where we saw this previous 2 points. Even if it's only 2, it still matters. And what I think is of utmost importance is this 200-day moving average, what we are seeing over here. And if we find support on top of the 200-day moving average, I would think that this would be a very healthy setback, especially because once Polygon has enough strength to get above the 50 and 100-day moving average once again and stays above this upward sloping support line, the trend is still not broken and we will be seeing a huge move towards the upside being created. But that's just the possible scenario for Polygon if it tends to break out towards the downside. But let's take a look at Polygon if it decides to break out of this descending triangle towards the upside instead of towards the downside. And what we are looking at right over here is that Polygon will be having once again a 51% pump towards the upside, and it will be trading at that particular moment at, well, a very high price target. And yes, you can see it's in Bitcoin prices, so it's difficult for me, but of course you will be having this pump of 51%, as I showed you before as well, towards the downside. And if we are seeing this pump towards the upside being created, we will be for sure seeing Polygon as well on the US dollar chart having a momentum towards the upside being created. And that's why I'm looking very carefully at this descending triangle on the Matic chart for the current moment. Let's take a look at what we could possibly be looking at as well. What I think personally is very important, not just the moving averages, but as well the RSI. And if we are looking at the current RSI, the RSI is actually indicating that it's in the middle of the purple area underneath. And as I showed you before as well, if I enable once again the moving averages, you can see that if Polygon breaks towards the downside, I think it is right now currently just in the middle of the RSI. So it is not at the upper part, and that means that the drop won't be as big as if it won't be that big, because that drop won't be happening once Polygon is actually outside of the dotted line on the upper area on the RSI. And I'm not spotting any type of bearish or bullish divergence, so for the moment we are not seeing a indicator that is telling us specifically that we will be seeing a possible pump towards the up or downside. But right now, if I look at Matic, this descending triangle is actually not worrying me right now, because even if it drops towards the downside, I personally think that we will be finding support on top of the 200-day moving average, and as well on top of this upward sloping support line. So this is just a great level of support if you ask me. So let's take a look at Matic on the US dollar chart, because I will be heading further. This channel is awesome, bro. Bear FX EFX, sorry, Bear. Thank you very much for telling me that this channel is awesome. I really appreciate you guys watching. If you like the content, do not forget to subscribe to this channel and even hit that bell notification. I would really appreciate that. You will be supporting the channel by doing so. And let's take a look. Lion Jason right at the bottom. Binance was fine though. I got a buy on Matic down there. Hope it is. Hope it hits. Lionheart, Jason, you are actually doing what I would be expecting someone to do, because if you are placing a buy order over here, if you calculate this, it is just an amazing opportunity to buy Polygon at very cheap prices, especially if you look at this compared to Bitcoin. I think the overall market, especially because there is a lot of potential for Polygon, because there is so much news about it, that I think people are just patiently waiting for it to become a major coin. And I think that it will be a top 5 coin for sure, especially because it is so easy for developers and so easy for users to make use of the Polygon platform and their network that they created. So that's for me just something, if it's friendly for developers and if it's friendly for users, it will for sure be something with lots of value. And that's why I think Matic is just really absolutely amazing to look at right now. So we are seeing this broadening wedge on Matic, and we are right now currently right over here. So if the descending triangle that we saw on the Bitcoin chart breaks out towards the downside, I personally think that we won't be finding even more support on top of these upward sloping support line, especially because we only had 2 touch points in the past, and we want even more touch points on this upward sloping support line to make it even more significant, as I told you before. But if we see that breakout towards the downside of this wick, that would be a breakout towards the complete beginning of the broadening wedge, and that would be a breakout of, let's take a look, approximately until here, and I will be measuring it as well for you. This is a breakout of, yes, 51% exactly, as we saw as well before on the Bitcoin chart, and that would be a Polygon Matic price at approximately, let's take a quick look, at $80. And yes, that would be, of course, something you could be, well, saying that's a ridiculous setback, especially if you measure it from the beginning, from this all-time high over here. It would be a huge setback towards the downside, and that is also in particular why I personally think that, yes, I think it's a very great set that if Polygon breaks towards these levels over here at 80 cents, that a buy order is for sure something you would not like to miss out on. But I personally don't think this will be happening, especially because if we looked at the Bitcoin chart, it is not that probable that we will see once again this Polygon breaking towards the downside, and this could only happen if Bitcoin once again broke down below. But I am still very bullish on Bitcoin. I think it is just wonderful news that we're seeing so many indicators that are telling us that there is a trend reversal on Bitcoin going on right now. And if Bitcoin finds enough support and enough strength to break above that downward sloping resistance line I showed you before during the live stream, don't forget, after that we will be seeing a moment of consolidation. But after the consolidation, we will be amazed about what is going to happen. So right now, currently on top of this downward slope resistance, but let's take a look as well at the positive side and imagine that Polygon would find support on top of this upward sloping support line. Well, what we will be seeing after that is a huge potential move towards the upside being created, and I will be measuring that move by selecting the beginning of my broadening wedge and just measure it until the latest touch point on the broadening wedge. And if I take a look at this like this, and I will be making my chart a little bit smaller for you so you can take a look at it as well, what it could be potentially be. And what we are seeing over here is a move towards the upside once again at, I would say, 51% once more, because that is the most accurate way to measure it and to say to you that this is a probable move towards the upside of 50%. So yes, for right now, what I'm selling is, guys, don't forget what you were asking me is, would you invest in XRP or would you invest in Matic? And right now I'm just absolutely crazy about Matic, and I think that Matic will be showing us a lot of profits if you are able to buy it at these levels where it's currently trading at. So for right now, I really enjoyed having this live stream. I must say I'm a little bit sorry because I have to go, and I will be heading straight back in approximately 1 hour and 30 minutes, and then after that I will be having an even longer live stream. So if you're interested, don't forget to watch that live stream as well in 1 hour and 30 minutes. But right now, unfortunately, I have to move on. And if you like the content, please give me a thumbs up down below, and I would really appreciate that. So have a nice day for you all, and I really hope to see you in 1.5 hours. So bye bye.